What a stomp. What a game. Dude, what went wrong for Legacy?
I mean, Chiefs, I love the draft. This is like what Spawn was talking about. The meta shifted away from 80 carries and they've gone with an Ornn bot. So, for me, personally, I feel like this all went wrong after Ryze died early in the game. So, Ryze died early to a game. Yasuo ended up getting the first blood. But why this was different to a normal first blood was that Ryze had to come back to lane without his Tear of the Goddess. And in that matchup, when Ryze has a TP back without Tear, it's absolutely terrible. He came back with 2 mana crystals, and for me, this kind of like set the pace of the game. They always had the front foot in the mid 2v2, and they weren't able to bounce back.
And so, if you are Legacy, what do you do to defeat this style of comp that's so frontline heavy?
So this is something that, Oceania being one of the first regions to play at the moment, it's kind of been a thing that's, untested. And I feel like a lot of teams in solo queue, a lot of people are really struggling to take down this style of composition. But personally, my take on it would be that in order to shut down these like tanks in the bot lane and bruises in the bot lane, what you want to be doing is kind of making sure that you control the map through mid. And I feel like once Chiefs, and it just showed this game the importance of having that mid control, right? Once you're able to control the map through mid lane with your mid and jungle, you can, I guess, use that pressure to keep the tanks and the bruisers under their tower and allow them to poke them down with range, which is what the traditional AD carry tends to do. So I feel like I think that's what they tried to do with a pick like Graves, which Graves generally gets that pressure in the mid lane. But unfortunately, Chiefs were able to execute their Talia and their Yasuo and utilize that pressure really well and just snowball the game.
And do you have faith that they're going to learn from this and turn around for the next game, or?
Yeah, so I think that Legacy now seeing that, I guess there's a big part of it now that they're aware that this is the style that Chiefs are kind of going for. So I'd hope to see that there's a lot of adaptations coming out of Soul Strikes, whether that's to deny this coming again from Chiefs. But I have faith that Soul Strikes, the big brain, is able to devise some cunning plan and come back stronger for game 2.
Excellent Blackadder reference there. Now, the big news, obviously, is that Chiefs took it out. But the bigger news is that the first Infernal Drake finally dropped. Everyone's so excited. Chat goes off. 1,000 people get their skins. It's all very exciting. So that's going to cool the chat a little bit, and we're all very thrilled about that. We hope you enjoy your skins. Now, the other thing we've got coming up is that we had to pick some new catchphrases for our caster boys. We got a stack of suggestions, and I loved your tweak at the end was genius. You're like, let's make this Australiana, that touch. That's what brought this home for sure. We got a stack of entries. I've narrowed it down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I reckon that you and I will each just pick one. I'll go through them all, and then chat. You can let us know what you'd liked as well. First one came in from Timojin, who said he went down faster than a bunning snag, which is something that just needs to get screened. I think that's brilliant. I think it's perfect for future sponsor integration. I think that it doesn't seem to conflict with hamburgers because I'm fairly certain Hungry Jack's don't sell sausages. So this is I love this.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that. Personally, as long as they have tomato sauce on the snag, it's all good with me.
There's nothing better than a bunning snag.
That's right.
Except for a Hungry Jack's hamburger.
Cue the big picture of a Whopper.
The excellent thing that I love about that as well is that if it does catch on and goes international, the words Bunnings and snag are going to confuse everybody. Second entry came in from a very sad panda who, for some reason, just wants Bryce to scream out the mother of all cupcakes just in the middle of a team fight. So if you had to pick one league character to be the mother of all cupcakes, who would you pick?
Actually, I would stray away from characters. I would have that said when Direwolf's Cupcake player.
Yep.
When we got Cupcake on our team.
Yep.
When he pops off and gets a pentakill, or some crazy play. If that was said, I reckon that would pop off.
So you reckon we save this for tomorrow?
Yeah, save it tomorrow for when we destroy Order.
Okay, cool. So let's just pocket that as like a third pick that has to come up tomorrow.
Yeah.
Agent Mexico. This isn't even a quote. This isn't even a catchphrase. Just said dab aggressively, which I love, and I think that the control room would be thrilled that when a big play happens, at one point one of the boys stand up and just, I don't know what aggressively dabbing is, but we just cut away from the game, which I'm sure Twitch chat will be thrilled about, and just focus on a 20-something guy dabbing pretty hard.
Let's get Bryce dabbing. When we send it back to Bryce next,
yeah.
Let's get a really aggressive dab. I want to see it.
I love this as well because Bryce is currently out of the room, I assume, doing some sort of pee, and he's going to come back and he's going to be like, you have to aggressively dab. Eric97XF, again, the Australiana touch, get in my pouch. which I think is perfect. I love it. I think that this is like, it's a good sort of, what sort of character, what champion are we applying this one to?
Oh, that would be perfect with Tahm Kench. The Tahm Kench eat. What's the W called?
Yeah, right. So like consume min, run.
Yeah, you consume it, you grab him, eat him, and then if the caster would say, get in my pouch then, I reckon that would be perfect.
So now we're dictating draft for the next game based off things that the casters want to say.
Pick Tahm Kench.
I hope they're watching. MetLife Gaming, they're getting shredded like Wheat Bix, which I really enjoy. Because Wheatbix, I had to explain this one to you because you're a Vitabix boy. Apparently.
Vitabix guy, yeah.
That's it's awful. Like, I can't even say the word properly. Vitabrits. So I think that's a fantastic one. And then finally, Luo Twitch says he's eaten more CC than a 12-year-old playing Fortnite. And then in brackets, here he implies the double meaning of CC being both crowd control and CCs like corn chips. Yeah, so I think that's an excellent one. But of course, we don't want to reference other video games within the broadcast of this video game. So he's eaten more CCs than a 12-year-old playing
League of
Legends.
Legends.
There you go. So which one's your favorite besides obviously what did we save? The mother of all cupcakes for tomorrow.
I like the get in my pouch. To be honest, I think that it just goes too well with Tahm Kench, and especially since Tahm Kench was played, like it was played today. I think it was the last game, right? It got played.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, I think that's perfect.
And I think there's all sorts of costume opportunities if this catches on that we need to put Bryce in some sort of kangaroo outfit, and I think that's fantastic. And then I'm gonna go. So congratulations there. That's Eric 97XF. I'm gonna go with Temujin. He went down faster than a Bunnings snag because I just think that that's quintessential Australian. I think that it's opens up all sorts of possibility, and we're gonna educate the world about like what Bunnings is and what a sausage.
If Spawn can bring that to Worlds, if he's casting Worlds and he brings that to Worlds, I reckon that would be top of Reddit.
Absolutely. So the boys are in place at the desk, ready to go. So for their information, the catchphrases that they are going to have at some point, someone needs to scream out, "Get in my pouch," and then later on in the game, he went down faster than a Bunnings snag. So we look forward to hearing that stuff live on the broadcast. Congratulations to Temujin and Eric 97XF. Well done, boys.
Yep, cool. Well done, boys. Went down quicker than Bunnings snag is actually.
I actually really liked that one.
Get in my pouch. Not so much.
I overheard that. I was talking about Tahm Kench. Like that is very. I like that. That makes a lot of sense.
How does that make sense? He eats them.
No, but like I mean, his pouch is just he's like a reverse kangaroo. It's just internal. Rather, like you know what I mean. The pouch isn't on the outside. He's just like gobbling them up.
All right, cool. However, we did see game number one go Chiefs' favour. They ran a very unique bottom lane. I will get there for everyone at home. However, I do want to talk about Babip and Ryoma because to me, they're two players that they're young, they're superstars. You know, we've seen them on Legacy Genesis as well as Sin Gaming in the past, but they seem to have elevated their play. That game, they absolutely ran a train over Claire and only. They had no impact in that game.
Absolutely, and Sharp mentioned something we didn't on the cast. It was the tier for Rise that was super impactful. It means that Claire really is never going to find an avenue into that game, as yes, my lid just came off and I freaked the hell out. But yeah, so like it really limited like their success in the mid lane, just limited the comeback options that Legacy had in the game. We talked about, yes, like they want to scale, they want to have that Gangplank, they want to have the Kalista late game, but it was just never going to be there because of how far behind Claire really was.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing that I do need to point out because I got it wrong is now with IE and Yasuo's changes, I didn't know that it wasn't multiplicative. It's actually you do the first time and then you do the second time. So it gets quadruple crit.
120.
Gets 120.
From a Phantom Dancer.
Yeah.
That's
gross.
That's pretty nutty. Of course, he never actually got to it. He was building GA, built the stopwatch, and then the game ended. So,
absolutely. But that still, I mean,
that's
bonkers.
That's
However,
pretty bonkers.
now let's talk about the bottom lane. So give me your feedback. You're a bottom lane main. You saw how that played out. If the top side of the map didn't get that far ahead, do you think that that was a worthwhile investment from the Chiefs? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Explain.
I think there's absolutely a reason everyone is complaining about it. The laning phase was too easy. I personally feel like Kalista Tahm Kench is not that good of an answer. Like, you talked about like the Caitlyn Janna, pick a huge lane bully. Braum was banned. If you can get like Lucian Braum and actually fight them early, sure, do that. Otherwise, pick Karma Caitlyn, Janna Caitlyn, and just shove them in and pressure them out of the lane phase, and it'll be a much more successful than a short-range AD carry.
What about something
with
old
limited
school,
mobility?
like Zyra
Jhin
or
Case?
Zyra MF? Like something that
MF?
is going to turn around and not run away from the game, because that's what Callista Tom Kents was obviously designed to do. Farm up, run away, but turn around and like try and 2v3 the game.
Like you could, because MF is pretty decent on this patch. She can build lethality, she can go cleaver, does a lot of damage.
She can go Conqueror as well and apply it on an ulti, which is very...
You need to get like the auto attack, which is rough to proc the Conqueror. So like you need to like get into combat for multiple seconds, hit an auto attack, and then turn around and bam. But like it can be done, and she's honestly pretty decent. When we haven't really seen, like MF has been on the fringe at best for a very long time, and she's currently pretty good. So I think it was a worthwhile investment from the Chiefs, but I also didn't like Legacy's answer to it.
Okay, cool. So we'll see whether they have a better one this time around. Legacy ban away Morgana Rakan as well as the Taliyah. So getting rid of that power jungle pick. It's going to be Aurelia, Ezreal, as well as the Camille banned away in response. And it's going to be Braum picked up for Decoy, the doorman himself.
Yes, I like this. Decoy, huge Braum player, was literally a Braum one trick until he got to like the professional stage and started branching out.
And then he became a Braum one trick on the professional stage for quite some time as well.
Come on, man.
No, he was.
Yeah,
like,
that is
I
true.
think that his Braum was much better than a lot of his other champions. He's
absolutely
now
is.
diversified his champion pool. I'm not saying he's a Braum one trick now, but when he first emerged in competitive, I certainly thought his Braum was a step ahead.
And we haven't seen Lucian at all today, but I've been mentioning it multiple times. He's pretty good, especially blind pick Braum I like, because if you just look at the Chiefs, and if they just play a standard 80 carry bot lane, they play Karma Ezreal or Karma something Ezreal's banned, Karma Varus, things like that, then you can bully them out. I also think it's a good answer to the tanks. Of course, they didn't ban Ali, they didn't ban Ornn, so obviously they think with the ability to first pick Braum, Legacy aren't too afraid of the tanky bottom lane of the Chiefs.
And there we go. Chiefs go away from their game plan. They are going to pick up Kai'Sa here as their first pick, so obviously valuing that pick incredibly high. Karma Kai'Sa, we've already seen, I think, once today. And that is going to be the Lucian picked up here, so the old Legacy special.
Yeah, Mimic's going to get himself the gangplank again. Unfortunately, last game, fell incredibly far behind, and Ryoma's just going to blind pick the Vladimir. They have two bans to be able to deal with it. We saw Zoe earlier today. Remind absolutely popping off, so it makes a lot of sense to ban that one away.
So where is the Karma going? Where is the Vladimir going? You wouldn't expect Swiper to play either of those characters. So you would think that potentially Karma support and Vladimir mid lane would be the most obvious answer.
Yeah. I think it makes a lot of sense. Destiny is a very good Karma player. Even back on the Direwolves, they played a ton of Karma at the time, and he's like very good. He's a very decisive player, and that's something you don't really think about with Karma that much. But Mantra Shield on a team fight can be absolutely huge, and it does very well into Braum. Like, you can keep your distance if you want. You can poke him out of lane because you actually do a lot of damage. So it makes a lot of sense, not to mention you have huge shields for a hyper carry like Kai'Sa.
And it's going to be Mundo banned away. Swiper loves it when this happens. Play a tank. Get the immediate respect ban, and Yasuo also hits the bench just in case Swiper puts some cheeky Vladimir hours in over the break as well.
Maybe it was for Raze. Actually, no, they've got Kai'Sa.
They got Kai'Sa?
Yeah, they got an Ornn.
I mean, that's pretty standard for the Armor Titan.
Yep, that is absolute standard. Gonna go into Gangplank. Can bully Gangplank around pretty early into the matchup. Has a lot of wave clear, can buy items for free in lane. Doesn't have to waste his TP back, but as the game progresses, Gangplank gets incredibly hard to deal with.
Corki pickup here would mean that this is an incredibly late scaling comp. I like Cassio much more. Good with just base stats. Double damage on the E from the poison is just so nice.
Not to mention she's very good at short range, dealing with short range AD carries. Yep. Vayne, Lucian have always been like the big culprits of this, but Kai'Sa, relatively new champion, but she's damn short range.
Lucian sucks against her because they rely on dashes to get around. Kai'Sa can go invisible, so might have a little bit more of an advantage.
She can also like ult behind,
yeah,
which kind of changes the dynamic of the fight. Like, she doesn't have to fight front to back like any AD carry. Like, you have to dash flash over the Cassio, which isn't really going to happen. But Kai'Sa, if she lands a W, if an ally CCs, all of a sudden you're behind the carry. Behind the Cassio.
Graves picked up again for Only. Didn't have the best game once, so whether he can turn it around. And it's going to be Nidalee picked up for Babip. His signature champion. Going up against his old team. We haven't mentioned it much, but Babip, obviously long-time Prodigy jungler playing behind Carbon. Obviously, when Carbon retired, everyone expected Babip to fill that role on the team. Then he just joined the Chiefs.
He's,
Name a bigger betrayal than that. Like, maybe when the Night's Watch took out Jon Snow.
Okay. We've already had, that's the second Jon Snow reference of the broadcast.
That's why I was on the forefront of my mind, I think.
I like it. But yeah, we talk about Nidalee into Graves, can run over the map, she gets ahead, and Babip likes these sort of matchups.
Yeah.
Babip, and well, Only as well, they're not big like Zac, Sejuani, Gragas players, things like that. They want to play the carries, and not necessarily the carries that get in early like Kha'Zix and Rengar and stuff that do tons of damage early game and like high priority gank. They want to play like the farm and scale, the sit back and dish out the sustained DPS. So it makes a lot of sense that we have a Graves Nidalee matchup with these two teams.
Completely agree. They also like to be on champions that if they get in the right position to mechanically outplay their opponent, they're able to do that and pick up 1v1s. And I think that that's been kind of the hallmark of Babip so far, is he is a high-risk, high-reward player. However, now with no CC between the mid-lane jungle duo for the Chiefs, I'm interested to see how they win this, because Claire should be much more comfortable in this 1v1 matchup.
Absolutely. Miasma can block the Nidalee from jumping in, things like that as well. So the 2v1 potential is very real for Claire in the mid lane right now. You talk about lack of CC. I feel like Chiefs aren't going to be able to run over the map as quickly as they did game 1 as we head out onto the Rift.
We are onto Summoner's Rift. Game number 2 between Legacy and the Chiefs. The Chiefs were able to pick up game number 1. Legacy now looking to hit back in what is a much more standard game. We are going to be joined by Soul Strikes. Soul Strikes, what the heck happened game 1? Do you know?
Well, like, yeah, I actually don't know. Just like Brom mid's getting played in Korea. Like a lot of tanks are getting played. So like it's very interesting, and they're putting all the basket in Yasuo, but just go next. Like
Just
we're
go,
on to the
just
game
go
2.
next.
Yeah,
Yeah.
unfortunate.
So coming into game 2 now, Lucian Braum, like how do you think this matchup stacks up in the bottom lane in terms of like, talking about Ornn in the bottom lane, you have Kai'Sa, you have Ezreal, that's super high priority picks. Like, do you think the changes to Lucian were like incredible? Do you think he's one of the best, or just kind of okay?
I think with the Essence Reaver introduction, I think Lucian tier definitely has gone up. And if you look at our draft, we prioritize Braum and and Lucian Braum, like very standard for us. And yeah, we just need to play around like post 6 gangplank, and we should be able to gain some advantage through bot.
All right, now tell me about the change only in Sybil out. Obviously, you guys were able to finish 3rd last split and exceed lots of people's expectations. What's the goal of this lineup? Have you got a number on the ladder in mind, or is it just continue to improve, continue to get these young players more games?
Well, with a change of jungler, I think we still need to adjust how both Only and our team adapts with each other. So it's going to take time for us to adjust, but we're aiming for the finals.
All right, cool. Well, always great to talk to you, Soul Strikes. Best of luck in this next game. Thank goodness it's a little bit more standard. We'll hopefully see you next time.
All right.
However, Claire going in, actually, that's going to be potential first blood. If he flashed after him there,
He could have killed him.
I don't think he knew whether there was a W. He must have, actually, because he saw the E come out. So, yeah, why didn't he kill him?
Potentially afraid of the cleanup from Babip, anything like that. Maybe just miss the window. Honestly,
well,
that was a very small window. Babip is here. He has red buff.
Yeah.
He can just walk in and auto attack if he wants to.
However, you can see Graves also towards the top side. If the spear lands, he's in trouble. However, it did not. Only dashes forward, gets the slowdown. Will be able to get the 3rd shot. However, will not be able to land it there. And they will just look to get this wave in and get a reset for Claire.
And that is the classic mid 2v2 with no CC. Chiefs walk in. They like try to get a pick. Cassio just walks away. All of a sudden, Graves, level 3 to level 2 above here, walks in, and ultimately everyone just gets out scot-free.
See, Babip goes back, picks himself up. That Scuttler will be able to move himself towards blue buff as well. Once again, another matchup where Babip should see primary usage of all the blue buffs in the game you would expect.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a very big deal for the bottom lane of the Chiefs, because Lucian Braum, if they can get a fight early in this matchup, it's very good for them.
Yep.
Once you get shoved in by a Karma lane, it is very difficult to shove out. Braum just cannot influence the wave under his turret, whereas Karma can be prepping the wave with Qs. She can hit the backline so Kai'Sa can one-shot them. Mancha Qs on the melee, things like that. Like, Karma genuinely, as a support, has threat on the wave, and all of a sudden, Babip's on the bot side of the map, whereas Only is top.
Yeah, we'll see whether he can get anything done. The dash is going to be there. Flash forward from Destiny. Will be able to get the stun up, and Decoy just did not flash in response, and will fall down.
And very nice play out of Destiny. Proactive flash, and Decoy only level 2 has the Q and the E, no jump. So the flash from Destiny means he is locked down. Decoy's flash would have been for nothing, would have died anyway. Very nice setup and very nice execution from the Chiefs.
And that gank is so worthwhile because they're about to crash a big creep wave as well. You can see Ray can't safely last hit it. Already he's fallen down 10 CS. They're going to be able to make this hit the turret, and a big reset will come out of the Chiefs with the first blood advantage going over to their jungler.
And all of a sudden, bot lane ganks are super weird on this patch because you have TP80 carries. It's just much more effective to pick on the support who can't just go to recall with like 5 minutes into the game, death timers like 10 seconds, come back and catch the wave anyway. He has to walk all the way back.
So that's the big thing, is because ganks and kills. Actually, Claire misses that. Ryoma going to run in. Will not be able to get the damage down. I was going to say, ganks used to do two things. They used to give you gold, but also deny gold to the AD carry. Nowadays, it only gives you gold. You don't deny anything, really. You know, maybe 1 or 2 creeps to the turret. However, TP back does help out.
So it's less of a swing. But picking on the support makes a lot of sense here. Ryoma, all of a sudden, no flash, no ignite. Just has so much control over the lane because the miasma from Claire did miss. But once that's back up, Cassio, once again, with only in his back pocket, really wants to shove this in. Has absolutely 0 mana. Of course, gets a bit of a refund on his abilities on the wave. But Babip is here to try and stifle this. Down a level and down 2 camps already, despite getting that early gank. Yeah,
absolutely. But with that Red Smite, as well as the Amtome, going to be looking to farm up a Storm. You can see has 2 camps up and available, was looking for a cheeky Raptor steal there. See, Ryoma pulling the wave, looking for the hard freeze. We'll be able to get it.
Very nice. And we haven't really checked into the top side right now. Mimic is recalling, probably just going to TP. Might just be able to walk back to this wave, but Swiper on the Ornn built himself about a 10 CS lead. This is what we mentioned. Gangplank, of course, scales incredibly well, but Ornn's early game, the safety that comes from it, and his ability to just shove someone in, can't be understated. Knockup does land.
Yeah, no dash away from Only. We'll just take the full brunt of that. We'll have to dash over the wall now. Very nicely done. But this is what we were used to see from Ornn, is that he's 1 to 5 in the lane was actually real strong. Everyone thought he was kind of OP when he came out, then he got nerfed a lot, and people were like, his laning phase is done. Obviously not the case, as Raze is able to get out. Big damage coming down for Decoy. You feel that Ray probably could have committed a little bit further there.
But they don't. Raze couldn't be proccing the plasma. That's when Kai'Sa's damage really spikes.
You can see in the mid lane, level 6 has been achieved. However, that's big damage going down onto Ryoma. Has to turn around. Will get a big heal out, and Flash comes through for Babip. However, damage is still there. Will all auto attack lands.
That was a very long-range auto attack around the corner.
Certainly was.
Barely.
And I felt like Claire could have potentially gone aggressive there. He knew that the flash was still down from Ryoma. I feel like the right call was to go forward, Bryce, but he went back and got cleaned up.
We talked about 1v2 potential. Couldn't find the play there. Ultimately does lose his life. Once again in this mid-matchup, he got that very early pick onto Ryoma. Didn't fall down, but burnt the flash and the ignite. We thought maybe there was kill potential there. Ryze in the first game got ganked very early, didn't get his tier, so Claire been picked on a little bit. Now finds himself hitting level 6. Big power spike for the Cassio, where you can get those 1v1s with no summoners.
And he is so far behind. He is 21 CS and an assist down. It's just getting picked on by this mid-jungle duo, and it is so, I cannot stress, it's so important to track where Babip is. You see he flew into that mid lane again, and we mentioned he was down camps. However, has been influential with the 2 kills.
Because Only's farmed, but Babip has had 2 successful gank attempts now, 1 in bot, 1 in mid, and has kept up in farm as well. He's about a camp behind on his Raptors now. So he's up almost 600 gold, which doesn't seem like a lot, but Nidalee can really take over the game very quickly. She gets to a point where she gets a few items, and then her clear just becomes insane. And she's very safe as well. Like, her invades are very safe. She can hop over walls left and right. She can start stealing away your camps, and very quickly goes from like an even to a head Nidalee to she's just bonkers.
You can see Claire still struggling to get this wave into turret. And this time around, with that ward in Pixel Brush, they are actually calling down the Armored Titan. Something that we saw so much last split. You just stand in that brush, able to throw out the ultimate whenever you want. Ornn's going to have priority in this lane until maybe one more shot from Mimic.
And Claire is so afraid. He's floating down to Only. He's looking to steal away the blue buff. Will be successful here, you have to think, with Babip in base, but no flash. Cassio, literally 0 mobility. We'll be very thankful to be able to pick this one up.
However, this is smart play from Legacy. I mean, your top side of the map is weak, is falling down. How do you get control? You got a Lucian Braum, who in a river fight at this stage of the game will be able to take it. Call them over, pick yourself up a free blue buff. You can see Claire still struggling here.
But I feel like the Lucian Braum really has to make something happen. At a certain point, Kai'Sa Karma will outscale the Lucian Braum.
Absolutely.
So we're reaching level 6. They haven't got much of a shot. There's only been 1. Decoy died, obviously. Got his rejuvenation bead. Raid has TP'd back to lane once with the double longsword. Now, going to get most of his spawn. Actually looking to complete that one. Not going for the vamp, it's the Reaver.
This is the best dragon that could have spawned for Legacy. They are struggling in 3 lanes. And they just got the laning drag. It might seem small, but the ability to just stick around for the CS, the ability to be able to get chipped out but be able to do something is so big. Mimic needs to be careful top lane. He's got 3 members coming up here. That's going to be the Ornhorn sounded, and this is going to be Swiper looking for the knock-up. They have to run through the turret. However, there is no ultimate yet dropped, and he got hit by all the damage. Burns the ult, burns the flash, and falls down.
And all of a sudden, you give the Ornn to a top laner, and the Ram connects. It's just so easy. 3v1 Mimic, as you mentioned, no summoners.
That's fine,
Uses
dude.
that one there, and that might just be his turret. Only's looking to defend. Ryoma's trying to go back to bot lane. Going back to mid lane, rather. Claire is kind of floating between, but no.
Yeah, I think he can defend. However, now Claire is in trouble. Turns around, gets the big damage out. However, Destiny will be able to escape, and Claire will fall down. Another kill to Ryoma. And Claire just not having his day.
And all of a sudden, decoy recalls, so the Lucian Braum can't really pressure the bottom lane. He goes to try and influence top side of the map, try and defend their turret, and they lose their mid laner already. So staggered deaths is honestly the worst thing that can happen to you as a team. Sure, you get wiped in a team fight, it's a hard reset, you lost what you lost, and you just cop it. But when it's 1 by 1, you just consistently keep losing more.
You see, the real beneficiary of all of these kills is Only. He's just been able to go top lane, clean out some farm.
Yeah.
Go mid lane,
Thanks,
clean out
Nick.
some farm. So he is, you know, getting farmed. He's got himself his jungle item. He's going to be able to go bottom side, pick up 2 more camps. However, his lanes, his top lane, his mid lane, they're starting to really fall behind.
Destiny's actually looking for something here. Was stepping up looking for the W, but no, just going to force them back. This turret did get a bit of a chip, but not too much. So the Lucian Braum hasn't done a whole lot in the early game. You really want to look for early skirmishes with this duo, and I feel like Legacy is a team that doesn't do that very often. Mind you, this is only coming into the roster, whereas they had Sybil last split, but it's not the biggest change compared to what we've seen from other teams in the OPL, but Legacy, traditionally, they've stylistically been a pretty slow team, and they're happy to scale up. Mimic on the gangplank, Claire wants to play something like Ryze, and when they get to late game, they absolutely take over. So the Lucian Braum is interesting.
Mimic still keeping up in farm, only looking for Ryoma here. However, not going to be able to find anything. Instead, gets in. Babip is there, and you just run from that Nidalee right now. She does so much damage.
Out of pounce range.
Boy, oh boy. That is a lot of damage.
Claire's ultimate did just come back up with Babip face checks.
I mean, if
Doesn't.
Claire gets hit by a spear,
Yeah.
kind of both way here.
On a nice edge. If any CC lands, if the spear lands, then kill potential across the board. Spear barely scratches Only's back once more, but Swiper has rotated down. Missing Pinks came out of Mimic, so they know that he's here. But Ornhorn is available.
And look how scared they are. That means they have to go the long way around, and they know red buff is up, and Only's going to track towards that, so they can't defend this turret.
There's absolutely nothing he can do. Once this hits, that's going to be lights out for the turret. Claire, on an immobile mid-mage, losing your turret only 12 minutes into the game. Feels like a bit of deja vu from last game.
And you have to say, hats off to Swiper, because twice his roams to the mid lane have been instrumental. And they are just committing so hard onto this, you know, get Ryoma, get Babip ahead, get map control, then use that duo to rotate to side lanes and start taking over.
Bork has been picked up by the Lucian, so kill potential through the roof right now. Raze doesn't have his Ginsus yet. Or Gwiznus, if you like to call it an Oceania. Sorry, Hysterics.
Shout out to Hysterics.
That turret is getting incredibly low, so all of a sudden this Lucian Braum lane slowly ticking away. You haven't seen the all-ins that you expect, but
However, how much of the rest of the map do you lose trying to pick this up? Because you can see, meanwhile, top lane teleport coming in, and this is going to be once again Mimic falling so low. Swiper stays under the turret, will flash away, so he will live. That is Raze coming in, as you mentioned. Now Babip low as well, but they time it well enough. Raze goes low as well, but it does not matter. Chiefs another kill, and they'll get the turret.
Absolutely. They know they're going to lose the one in the bot lane. It's about 25%. Only is down there looking for another pick in the mid lane. Can he dodge the ult? He can.
He's going to fall down. That's a flash forward. That's the ignite. That's another kill going across to the Chiefs. They're still pushing through on the side of Legacy, but you don't win this base race. You lose it on 2 sides of the map.
But they have to. They have to trade 1 for 2, or it's going to be a 2 for nothing in the favor of the Chiefs as soon as Claire falls down. That's going to be 3 turrets for 2. Very nice macro, very nice opportunistic play out of the Chiefs to find those picks and use the 80 carry TP actually proactively. We've seen it for the most part, just TP back to lane, get a bit more priority, but all of a sudden we actually have seen an 80 carry gank. That's weird.
That's real weird.
That is real weird.
And this is kind of the hybrid of the 2 sets that we've seen today, because we saw set 1 completely standard play. Game 1 of this set, we saw, you know, the bonkers double tank craziness that's running around Summoner's Rift. this game, we've seen kind of standard comp played in a very unique way.
Yeah. And this is super interesting, because you look at Legacy at the back end of last split, and you're like, it's the Mimic Claire show. All of a sudden, this is 2 games in a row where Mimic's been behind, Claire's been behind, and you're looking at Raid. Here's the man that, in Legacy content, he said that I underperformed last split, and he wants to be able to step up. Suddenly, he has the Lucian Braum, he has the proactive matchup. Once he hits that 2-item spike, once he gets the Reaver, Lucian really does come online.
Yeah, Claire going to head top lane. This is Swiper in a little bit of trouble. Teleport coming grounded will stop it. And Big Swips burns a cooldown for no real reason, Bryce. Have a chat to your old teammate. We'll be able to hold up some damage here, but will ultimately fall down.
Buy some time, and he didn't even cancel it. That's the full channel. He got cancelled by Claire's ability, so loses the entirety of his TP. It's kind of banking on the fact that Claire didn't have presence of mind to... Yeah. Is the Cassio going to cast her 3rd ability on me? Unfortunately for him, the answer was yes. As it always should be.
And with only topside, they should be able to take down this turret. Mid lane also could be under fire here. They can block out so much of the damage. However, now we'll be able to spot Babip. And I feel like that TP used from Swiper really hurt them, because otherwise they would have had to back away from the mid lane turret. Swiper's teleport presence would have just been so incredibly high. Probably have to back away from this topside play as well.
And because Ornn's success with the TP flank doesn't really depend
where he is
on the ward placement nearly as much as someone like Camille or Jax or any carrier, even something like a Maokai. Things like that. He can be literally anywhere and just sound the horn, and you're like, I'm leaving, I'm outie. I'm getting straight out of here. It's just such long range. The slow feels almost suffocating, so would have been very easy for Chiefs to make a play on the opposite side of the map, but...
Also, really nice lane swap coming out of Legacy right here. Just showing that even though the game's getting away from them, even though the Chiefs are playing some brilliant League of Legends, they've got the presence of mind to take the AD threat away from the 2 armor item top laner and put him into the lane with Ryoma. However, Ryoma now looking at a death cap. That's scary.
And I think that's something that differentiates good teams from not so good teams, is the ability to, when recognize that you're behind and make trades, right? Like if you try and defend the losing side of the map, you're gonna lose the turret, they're gonna dive you, things like that. But sure, the trade sucks, but it's better than the alternative. So Legacy actually scrambling for some semblance of gold, trying to keep this lead within 3,000.
Completely agree, but meanwhile, Chiefs are having absolutely none of it. They're continually ducking into the forest.
And Babip gonna steal away.
Absolutely, that Raptor camp went down quickly. Bunning snare, got one of them out of the way.
You really didn't even try, mate.
You say it.
They said like vehemently yell it, you know, in the middle of a team fight.
Gusto.
Yeah.
All right, I will try.
Give it
There's no time, Kench. I can't yell, get in my pouch.
Yeah. But sort of stable right now. Approaching 20 minutes, about 2.5 minutes away. Dragons have been taken down, so no big objective on the map for either of these teams. Happy to just farm it up for the time being.
And do we see the Giznus into AP or into AD, Bryce?
I think AD, because they have double AP threat. They have Nidalee, they have
But
Vlad.
there's no real tank on the lineup of Legacy.
Also the AD.
Ryoma being caught out here a little bit. Will have
Rounded.
to burn the pool. Goes back in for some sick damage. However, that door just missed. Otherwise, you would have felt the fight would continue.
And all of a sudden, Ryoma gets caught out, but the damage is really dealt to Legacy Chiefs. Bringing all 5 members to the mid lane right now, only. Tried to clear out some vision, so he's going to be late to this turret. Can he get through the choke point, or... Chiefs not going to let him through? No,
I think the real answer should have been he should not be allowed to. However, now Ryoma looking for the flank, has popped Predator, and that's going to be the culling forced out.
This is an ulti-less Vladimir that's looking for a flank here. Chiefs happy to just tank it up. Ray's forgetting he's not playing all in this game.
Don't think he cares.
Yeah.
Just gets out scot-free, Bryce.
He's got the class. He's got the shields from Karma. He's got the heals from Nidalee. Everything he could possibly want.
It's going to be a 3,000 gold lead, 3,500 still for the Chiefs. And all of it is where you want it. Look at that Vladimir.
It's big. Over 1,500 gold lead right now. Claire having an absolute roughie here in game number 2 as well as game number 1. Chiefs looking to cement themselves in this game. Have put Swiper down the bot lane. His TP coming up fairly soon, and they're going to have complete control of top side of the map, setting up some deep vision around the Baron.
And this is one of the things that didn't worry me, but I was curious about with Legacy. Because some of their players had such blinding split ones. And in my head, I'm thinking to myself, how much of that is the Korean boot camp? How much is Claire playing like a god? The fact that he was over in Korea playing against the best mid laners in the world for such a long time. Now he's back in OS, and you know he hasn't been there for a while now. Although that's a very good flank. Destiny flashes away, just gets off it.
So you talk about like how quick does he lose it, or like how much does it matter
that he didn't go
in terms of recency? Yeah. Okay. Potentially. I mean, I feel like those benefits do like absolutely wear off over time, because especially on a patch like this where the meta changes so much, because you play Malzahar, you play Cassio, whatever, like you go to Korea, you play a bunch of champions, and then you come back, suddenly Talia's a jungler, Ornn's in the bottom lane, and everything that was matchup specific is no longer really relevant. Sure, you learn like the basics around that, you learn the fundamentals, you learn like map pressure, things like that, but the specifics you do lose very quickly just based on patch to patch.
Because it's just interesting, right? I'm not saying the reason he is performing badly this specific game is because of that. It's just an interesting juxtaposition to how he was playing in Split 1. And then the other thing you have to do is give credit to both Ryoma and Babip, because they put a big pressure point in that mid lane both games. And you would have to say both games, the duo was able to get it rolling.
Absolutely here. You see Raze was looking for a bit of pick onto Mimic. He has the TP, so could go back to the top side if they do get that one, but unfortunately. For Chiefs, Mimic plays it very safe, wards the bush and just backs away.
Now we'll see Raze in the mid lane, so can know that teleport threat is no longer there.
That's so odd. So odd. Chiefs don't really have a tank here to start it up. They have heals and shields, but especially on this patch and the Baron, I guess, buffs to Baron recently, he's just so tanky, so it doesn't even matter whether he does more or less damage. The amount of time that you have to spend sitting in the pit means if you don't really have a tank,
actually... however, and that is going to be Claire having to use the stopwatch, but he's just going to fall down. That's a big ulti from the gangplank, and now Swiper maybe overextending, will go forward, will not fall down, however, so low. Dude. In comes a Vladimir, and immediately gets cancelled, will go down. Raze, however, cleaning the back of this team fight. Mimic flashes forward, Raze trying to get the damage done. Raze, huge shield coming out, will eventually fall. Mimic looking to 1v3 the back of this team fight. Great spear from Babip, cleans him up, and that is a 3 for 4.
Huge team fight, barely goes in favor of the Chiefs. Their two members just scraping by to keep themselves alive, but we have to take a look at Claire. Sure, he flashes away from this, but you have to look at the Petrifying Gaze. Ryoma, Tommy on the Vladimir, is coming in so quickly. Predator popped and immediately stunned before he gets to place his ulti. Otherwise, that's wiping the floor with Legacy.
And because the Ignite came out as well at the same down, he went down quicker than a snag at Bunnings, or something like that. And Mimic on the back end of this fight, this was smooth.
Very well. Absolutely. Barely living.
If this crate moves up just a Skerrick more.
Yeah. You like Skerrick? What does it mean?
Just a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Smidge.
That's a new one. That's a new one. But they barely win, Chiefs. Extended their gold lead to about 4,000 now. Up from the 3 that it was before. Going to get themselves a nice little Earth Drake. When you have a Nidalee and a Kai'Sa, your Baron is pretty damn quick because she attacks just so quickly. You have a Karma, Ardent Sensor, things like that. So if Swiper is around, they can start that one up, but he's in the bottom lane.
But there's worrying sides on both ends of that team fight, because that was a team fight from Legacy where you destroyed the Vladimir before like 50% of his damage came out. Didn't get to pull, didn't get to go through a second rotation of spells. That's probably 50% of his damage. However, on the side of Chief, you just gave 800 gold over to Gangplank, who was arguably the hardest scaling carry in the game.
Got himself a Sterax, reached that 2-item, all of a sudden has a boatload of extra safety.
See, Destiny now, and Vladimir charging in. Will get some damage down, doesn't use the ultimate. I like the discipline there. However, now Claire caught out. Will get knocked up, will knock himself up as well, and will fall down. Petrifying Gaze lands on 2, but Decoy now caught out. Tries to call his friend over to the wall, but it does not work. Gangplank ultimate drop, 2 members dead, and that should be Baron.
And that is the picks that Chiefs needed. Jungler is still alive, so the potential of a steal is there, but they have the tools to shepherd him away. Ryoma's actually going to push out the top wave. I don't think they need it. Lucian just farming up the mid lane. It looks like Legacy are just conceding.
Yeah, 1 barrel through here could potentially be enough to swing a fight if they want to go for it. That is not going to happen, but you can see the amount of damage coming out of Mimic.
And the communication is disjointed. Only was walking towards bot side, Raid farm mid and then wanted to go catch this bot wave. And Mimic's like, no, like, where are my teammates? Why aren't you contesting the Baron? He looks for the barrel, looks to try and get something down, but with no one else around, there's no way he can contest by himself.
Claire now 0-5, down 50 CS. Down 3,000 gold nearly.
Yeah, that hurts. That absolutely hurts. And now with Baron, if Legacy don't get a Petrifying Gaze onto the Vladimir, you have to think he's running rampant in the backline. Has his Proto Belt, has his Death Cap.
He's about to get himself a Banshee. Swiper looking to face check this brush. Will get tagged up, but will not fall down. Good discipline from Big Swips there.
Looking for something. And this is where a lot of players actually get caught off. When you get the Baron and you're like, oh, I'm in control of the world.
But
and all
that's
of a sudden
veteran
someone
status
gets
right there. When you smell it out before it happens. When you check your minimap and you're like, hey, they're not all shopping. They could be in a brush. And in goes Raze, looking for some sick damage. Will be able to land it. Goes back in and cleans up Claire again. Meanwhile, Ryoma, at the speed of sound, is just zoning away the gangplank. That will be the turret falling, and this could once again be a very quick game.
And a clean outplay from Raze there. Dodges around the Petrifying Gaze. W lands, so we can ulti onto the back end. Legacy going to struggle to defend this bottom lane turret.
Ryoma goes back in. Look at the damage coming out. Door goes up. Mimic going to look for a keg. Will be able to find some, but does not do any damage at this stage of the game. Big Swips with that banner of command has dropped at mid lane.
And the big thing is that they got that pick without having to use any ultis. They still have the Ornhorn. Hemoplague is still available. Raze got that almost by himself with the help of a shield from Karma. And all of a sudden, Legacy 4v5 desperately trying to defend.
Mimic is destroying the backline right now. That will be the ultimate coming out as well. Ryoma going to get tagged by another barrel. No, that will be Mimic getting away, but the turret still falls down. And that is everything going perfect for Legacy.
Lucky for Chiefs, the Baron bannered up minion does actually take down the turret. Otherwise, they wouldn't have broken the base at all with that one. But we're only 26 minutes into the game. It is fairly quick. We saw a 19-minute base break last time. This one 6 minutes later, but Chiefs firmly in control, extending their gold lead after the Baron, now sitting at about 8,000 gold.
And this is what Chiefs fans wanted. Like, come out and show improvement. Show that it wasn't raw skill, that you guys can build as a team. And, I mean, people were worried. Losing Fantix as a coach, obviously one of the good minds of Oceanic League of Legends. However, they've gone away. They look very prepared for week number 1. And they're putting on a clinic against a team that they played to make the grand final.
And there's two things, right? As a Chiefs fan, you're like, there's been so many roster changes. All of a sudden, they didn't change any players, just the coaching staff. You want to see them come out, and you want to see them look very good. Not just okay, Claire.
Flash over the wall, misses it. Very fast fingers, and this means the fight is going to be on. Raid gets tagged. In comes the Ornhorn as well. See whether they slow play it. They do go for Claire, and he's just being tagged up. He's being chunked down. Claire now face tanking, will flash away. However, Decoy says, get in my pouch. Not going to happen because he's not Tom Kenj. Right on the back end of this team fight. Mimic is still putting in work, but he just cannot carry hard enough, and the Chiefs look to break the inhibitor.
And Claire has been picked on time and time again, but Bib looking for more, but that is going to be the inhib taken down by the Chiefs. And I was going to say, as a Chiefs fan, with all these changes, you want them to come out swinging. You want them to not look like they've faltered, which they've been in complete control the entirety of these two games, and also, they've played two very different styles.
Yep.
They've prepared for the meme 8.11 meta. They've played on alley bottom lane with a Yasuo mid, and now they've played almost completely standard and look just as successful.
Absolutely. You see Swiper just taunting them in front of the turret, building an item. Mimic's going to have to come in here with some barrels. We'll be able to clear out a lot of the wave, but it still falls down. You can see Mimic is just pumping out damage. In goes Ryoma, will use the ultimate, nearly gets stunned up. However, turns back around looking for Decoy. Look at the damage that comes out. Now stunned up, however, will fall down. Babif goes over the wall. What are they doing? Has to flash away. Big knock up from Swiper, and they will continue the fight. However, Swiper now falling very low, and they're looking to continue this. Destiny gets tagged up by some poison, and Raze around the corner will get crit at the same time, and they will eventually back away.
And that was such a weird play from Ryoma. He dealt so much damage, but was just caught too far in front of the rest of his team. Knocked up there, stunned up by the Braum passive, so he goes down for free. Legacy hold on to their second inhibitor. No more of the base. Really falls down, but with Dragon spawning fairly soon, Baron has to be up in the next couple of minutes. It's going to be on that Baron fight, I think, that's really going to break the game open.
Yeah, completely agree. We see this one again, Bryce.
And Mimic is stepping up. He's trying to defend, right? Like, he wants to get barrels on the backline. That's all Legacy have. Ryoma actually goes back in with the pull here and gets the passive popped immediately. He burnt the ulti. His E hit multiple people, but he went back in for more damage. Unfortunately, falls down. But the only carry alive for Chiefs at this point is Raze, and he just backed off. So Swiper goes in. Sure, nice knock-up, but unfortunately the communication isn't there with the rest of his team. And he falls down as well.
I mean, no ultimate, no flash. You can't blame Raze for not diving a backline. You do have to kind of wonder what Ryoma was trying to accomplish. If his and Swiper's engage had landed at the same time, that would have been the ace. That was very clean knockup from Swiper. However, Legacy able to repel them. Claire now 175, so worth gold again.
However, he got himself a kill.
Yep.
I like it. Barrett spawning at about a minute 20 here. Scry's plant shows literally every member of Legacy, so Chiefs know exactly what's going on. Mid and Hib will slowly push in with the super creeps as well, but they're looking for swips.
Yeah, big swips, face checks this time around. Will have to burn the flash, however, they will continue to dash forward. He will ult because now it's about buying time. Gets it through everyone. Ryoma's racing up there, and they want the flank. Why are they just not pushing down mid lane, Bryce? Why are the Chiefs trying to fight this lineup? But they will go for it. In flies in Ryoma. Stunned straight away. Gets blown up, and once again, knock-up is there onto Raze. Now will get stunned up. Should fall down. Where is the damage coming out? We'll be able to get turned back around. Although it is now just Mimic left alive, and that was a quadra kill coming out of Raze. Mimic looking to reciprocate. Will flash, gets the oranges, is okay, and that is now a 4 for 4. However, the super crates are on the base turrets right now. If we get a look at it, that is inhibitor down. It is mid lane inhibitor, so it shouldn't do all that much damage, and that's an even team fight.
And Mimic is the one-man army that's standing up for Legacy. Everyone else falls down, but Bip's spear that landed onto Claire in a 4v5 team fight was what made the difference. All of a sudden, Swiper's dead for free. He gets picked. Ryoma goes in. He gets a big burst of damage, but unfortunately, his team doesn't arrive at the same time, and that's what we're talking about. We saw it before. Nice, tasty replay we got for here, but this spear that lands in just a few moments. Ryoma goes in, nice damage, but that one right there. Lucian dies from the Vladimir. If that spear does not land onto Claire, all of a sudden Cassio just wipes the floor. Raze dies immediately, and they can't clean up. Mimic does very well to trade at the end here, but huge moment for Legacy.
Yeah, and that is just such clean mechanics from Mimic. Hitting the barrel, flashing just before the snare goes up. Orange, just to prove his K, has actually gone back and picked up the new item.
Storm Razor.
Storm Razor. What does it do, Bryce?
It's a bit of a weird one. 70 AD, 30% attack speed, and when you have an auto attack for a while, it gives you a crit. It's basically Jin Holt.
Yeah, so what it's for is for the cake chain into the flash. Death trial by fire.
Yeah.
Big.
The flash, like, swipe.
Yeah.
What's his weapon?
It's a sword, a cutlass.
It's like a cutlass. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very short sword. But Chiefs get themselves a Baron on the back end of that play, so looking to siege up the bot lane.
Yeah, once again, if they had been a little bit more patient, probably would have caught a face check from Ryoma there. However, Will is not to be. And how do they get onto this big empowered creep that is just chunking them out? The answer is they don't. It's just going to take the turret.
Difficulty. The changes that mean it can be hit by AP champions actually means a lot. Claire can actually step up and deal some damage, which you couldn't in the past, in past banner metas. But the big thing, I think, is Ryoma spent a cheeky little 600 gold and got himself a stopwatch. Every time he's got a huge combo off and died immediately.
Yeah.
If he gets a huge combo off and doesn't die, I think this team fight is significantly harder for Legacy.
I completely agree with you, and I think that right now Legacy probably have to look to pull the trigger on a keg chain. Instead, they flash in. That's going to be Decoy flashing onto Raze. Will not be able to pick up that last auto attack, and now the Orn Horn is sounded. Will get the two-man knock-up, and Decoy should fall down. Raid also just stands there and tanks Swiper. In goes once again Ryoma. This time, however, with the stopwatch, lives to tell the tale, and this is the Chiefs with 3 members from Legacy down. Will look to pick up the series.
And it was desperation. The Braum of all people looking for the hard engage. They get onto Raze, but unfortunately can't take him down. That's their big cooldown. 5v1. Raid's not going to have much fun at all trying to defend the Nexus, and that'll be game.
Yeah, it certainly will be. The Chiefs come in against old rivals, and they take care of business. A 20-minute victory, a 33-minute victory in all 3 points for the boys in blue. Looking very good.
And all 3 points. All the points for my OPL tips. How about yours, Jake? How did you go?
Yeah, not great.
Oh, that's an unlucky one.
I'm playing the long game, Bryce.
Okay.
You know, week 1 is just about getting your feelers in.
And how are you feeling? Is they
Not
feeling
great.
good?
They're really off kilter.
Yeah. So is Claire, by the looks of things, had a very rough day today.
Yeah, mid-jungle duo probably have to go back and watch that together a couple of times, which is good. Because both, even though Claire's been around for a very long time, both young players there, and they would have a lot of footage to go back with Soul Strikes and look over and say, how do we make this better?
Absolutely. And jungle is also one of the changes that matters the most because they influence every single lane. You have to interact the mid 2v2, the top 2v2. All those things are like pivotal to the success of a jungler with his team. And as we were talking about prior to the series, only coming in from AV is a very different dynamic. So, of course, there will be growing pains, I guess, coming into this Legacy season. They did make that roster change, whereas Chiefs, making absolutely none in terms of players coming into this, should have had the upper hand, and they showed why here today.
Absolutely. And the Chiefs members, they've changed coaches in the past. They had Volt, Jish, then they had Fantix, now moving on to new coach as well.
Got Doric.
Yeah, Doric. So I think that this is a lineup that certainly looks to be showing improvement. And I think the most impressive thing is, as you said, they won 2 games in 2 very different fashions. Their play of the map, as well as just the individual skill shown, was at the pinnacle.
And the most interesting thing for me is like game 1 Mimic versus Swiper. The fact that Swiper just randomly gets a 50 CS lead after getting solo killed, I think if Swiper is shored up in the top lane, then all of a sudden, like, Chiefs don't really have a weakness. The mid 2v2 looks really good. Their bot 2v2 looks really good. Raisin Destiny super versatile. And then Swiper is like the big like player in the top lane that most people were attacking in the gauntlet, and he had a very good day today. Yeah,
he certainly did. And with that, they were able to pick up 2 very quick victories. And to hear more about them, I'm sure, let's throw it over to Nick Curtis, as well as Big Swips, the Armored Titan, the man with the new fresh ink on his arm. I want to see all of it.
That's right. Thanks, guys. Swiper, well done. Hell of a couple of games. Congratulations on the win.
Thank you. Yeah, the boys played pretty well. Could have played better myself, but yeah, proud of the boys.
Was it the ink slowing you down?
The ink slowing me down, yeah. It's still a bit sore, you know, getting it touched up every week slows me down, for sure.
So the number one question I had for you is, so Quinn played Ornn game 1, Raze played Ornn game 1, you played Ornn game 2. Who's the better Ornn?
Oh, we've had this conversation many times. And it normally turns into an argument, but I think I've got him covered. It's a bit easier bot lane, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Ornn's just completely broken. It doesn't matter who plays it. That ultimate's pretty easy to execute.
Yeah. So, yeah, like, obviously you got a new coach as well, Doric, if that's pronounced properly. So what do you reckon his main impact on the team has been since he's arrived?
I think he's a lot different from Richard. Richard was more of like a individual analyst, like very good like at drafting and working on us like individually. But Doric brings like a lot more of a team dynamic and like in terms of like a father figure. So I'm not doing like a lot more roles this split. I actually get to like focus a bit more on the game and he sort of keeps us all cool-headed. So no, he's a very good and overall like really like he really surprised me and I'm really impressed. I'm just waiting for him to come and live with us.
And how has it been relinquishing more responsibility like that and just being able to focus on one thing?
I definitely think that was something last split that I struggled with was sort of like leading a team and like trying to like be the psychologist and sort of like keeping everyone's heads in check, but at the same time like I lost focus of myself. So this split I'm looking at being like a lot better, especially like in the regular split I had a really rough one, but I just want to be as good as I can for the entire split and not really have any downtime, so I think I can do it.
So, I mean, like, obviously, Chiefs aside, what do you think the rest of the table and the rest of the teams in the OPL, your predictions for the split? Honestly, like, obviously there's going to be Chiefs bias here. Everyone out there's going to be Chiefs bias here, but what are your honest predictions?
I think the top 3 will be the exact same. I actually made a bet with Quinn that I think Direwolves will beat Order tomorrow. Sorry, Jake. I think it will be a 2-1, but I do think that Direwolves' dynamic has changed, and maybe even for the better. I like the addition of sort of having like the facilitator coming from top now, while you can like sort of put a lot more priority and just like whatever on like Shern and Triple. So I'm excited to see that match tomorrow, but yeah, I think the top 3 will stay the same.
Oh, brilliant. Last question I had was, do you think the tattoo's been a buff? The Unix's been a buff? And what item do you reckon that would be in game?
This?
Yeah.
This would just be like a 17,000 gold item because it costs so bloody much. But no, I didn't get solo killed by moving 5 times. It was only once, so I think that was a bit more of a upgrade, I would say.
Yeah.
So maybe only up from here.
Awesome.
Beautiful. Well, congratulations on the win. And Curtis, thank you very much for hanging out this evening for all the games. It's been a joy. Thank you guys for watching. And a big thank you. Look, Bryce and Jake, this was a beautiful interaction with the Get In My Pouch. I feel like that one slips in perfectly. For me, that one's a keeper, and I'm looking forward to seeing it every broadcast we have coming up with this split. That's it for me here at the Analyst Couch, and we'll take it back to you guys for the night.
Thank you so much. Always good to hear from Swiper. In fact, if he could stick around after the show and just let me know exactly why he thinks Direwolves is going to beat us, and any cheeky compositions that they've been playing at all. Yeah, very specifically. Go into as much depth as you can. That would be great. However, recapping this day, I mean, going off to 8.11, we thought that there was going to be some weird and wacky things. However, first game of the day was pretty stock standard with what looked to just be an impressive Mammoth running over the top of Bombers.
Absolutely. They came together, looked like a very solid team, which is just not what we expected. Bombers, I feel like a lot of the questions people leveraged at them last with are still very applicable and were very apparent in their 0-2 loss today.
Absolutely. And then in the rematch of what was the semi-final of last Splits Gauntlet, the Chiefs versus Legacy, fair to say that the Chiefs have achieved new heights off the back end of their Split 1 performance, and it looked like Legacy, unfortunately, going to have to take some time to rebuild.
Yep, recap, new jungler into the mix. They're going to have to build up from that point. You were saying a lot of footage to take away from today, and I feel like it's very obvious what broke down. There was like communication issues, and the mid 2v2 was huge for them, especially when Claire is such a high performer and was such a big deal for them last split. They really need to solidify that one and shore that up for them to be as successful as they were last time in this split.
Good news for Legacy fans is you'd rather lose in week 1 than in week number 10. However, tomorrow we have more OPL action coming your way from 5 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be Tectonic taking on Avant Gaming, both new look rosters. Very excited to see how they perform before the Direwolves, last splits, OPL champions, and admirable MSI representatives take on Order from the Melbourne lineup. Certainly a must-watch there. We already heard Swiper calling it a 2-1. If it is, it would be arguably the first 2-1 of the OPL season. Which game are you looking forward to more, Bryce? I always ask you.
I'm looking forward to Direwolves Order game, 100%. I think that's going to be a cracker. BioPanther, like the chippies drop for BioPanther was such big news so close to the season. I think everyone at home is curious, like what Direwolves actually look like. Of course, Curtis Sharp sitting on the couch today was very confident. I feel like felt very good. And be interesting to see if they can stand up to Order tomorrow, who've had absolutely no changes in the offseason.
Yeah, that was a shocking change. I was shocked. However, guys, remember that we're running all these competitions at the moment. Make sure before tomorrow you get your tips in, you apply for that Worlds trip, and of course, watch out for some Fire Drakes. However, that is all the OPL action we have for you tonight on behalf of myself, Bryce, Nick, Curtis, and of course the entire production crew. Thank you for tuning in. Go get yourself some Hungry Jacks, and we'll catch you tomorrow. Now Swiper maybe overextending, will go forward, will not fall down, however, so low. Dude. In comes a Vladimir and immediately gets cancelled, will go down. Raze, however, cleaning the back of this team fight. Mimic flashes forward, Raze trying to get the damage done. Raze, huge shield coming out, will eventually fall. Mimic looking to 1v3 the back of this team fight. Great spear from Babib cleans him up, and that is a 3 for 4. Looking for Decoy, look at the damage that comes out. Now stunned up, however, will fall down. Babib goes over the wall. What are they doing? Has to flash away. Big knock up from Swiper, and they will continue the fight. However, Swiper now falling very low, and they're looking to continue this. For him flies in Ryoma, stunned straight away, gets blown up, and once again, knock up is there onto Raze. Now will get stunned up, should fall down. Where is the damage coming out? We'll be able to get turned back around, although it is now just Mimic left alive, and that was a quadra kill coming out of Raze.
Raid's not going to have much fun at all trying to defend the Nexus, and that'll be game.
Yeah, certainly will be. The Chiefs come in against old rivals, and they take care of business.